We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sah Punaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vittvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are doing the 10th section of the third chapter of Taittiriya Upanishad. And in this chapter, it is predominantly an Upasana chapter. It also tells us some values in life of how to treat the annam, the food which we eat. So these are some qualities which we need to build up in order to appreciate our higher nature. So totally in third chapter, there are 10 sections. We have finished 9 sections. We are in the 10th section. In the 10th section, there are 6 subsections, 6 mantras. The first mantra dealt with Atithi. That means guests who come to your house, give them food, give them shelter. This is one of the disciplines for a seeker. The second mantra dealt with Upasana, meditation on our own organs. How do they function? They are functioning because of some higher power. That higher power is called as Brahman. So in our eyes, in our ears, in our mind, in our digestive organs, in the whole body, there is a power. There is a supreme power. That supreme power is that Brahman. We are just giving it a name. The Veda gives a name to that power. So that is in the second verse. The third verse deals with, so second verse is about Upasana. The first verse is about a discipline of how to treat guests. The third mantra is Adi Daivika Upasana. So Adhyatmika Upasana means you meditate on the Supreme in your own body. Adi Daivika means in the external world, whenever you see some greatness, whenever you see some vibhutis, you appreciate that as that supreme power. See, ultimately, we have to remember to see how all this entire experience of ours is born out of Brahman. And then it resolves into Brahman. In order to do that, these upasanas are recommended. So in the third mantra of the 10th section, we studied Adi Daivika Upasana, which dealt with rain. Rain which gives joy to us. Even if it drizzles, it's okay, but it gives joy to us. But the main thing is rain gives us the food. Ultimately, it is the cause of food. Lightning is also a power. You see, in the Veda, they say that everything is born from Brahman. Lightning is born from Brahman. Then it also talked about fame in the cattle, fame in the wealth which fame in the society. You may get fame because of many reasons, but fame as a power is also resting on Brahman. The light in the stars, the light in the sun is also a power of Brahman. Then, when it comes to progeny, our children, the joy in the organs of procreation and the immortality which we leave behind in this world. That means you get children. The son, for example, takes after his father. Then son has his own son. So similarly, what happens? This you are creating your own future uh, as self as immortal. So this was discussed in Adi Daivika Upasana in the third mantra. We are now in the fourth mantra where we are discussing. There are three more mantras which are left in the 10th section. After that, the Taittriya Upanishad is over. The fourth mantra is what we are doing now, where it talks about meditation of Brahman as Saguna Ishvara. That means it is all the five elements. Especially the space is the closest to Brahman. Now that is the section which we are seeing. The next section after that, the fifth one is Sayaschayam Purushe, the Mahavakya portion. And the last one is Aham Annam. That means a person, suppose he has realized Brahman, that his Swarupam is Brahman, how will he behave in this world? That is the last section, the sixth section. So we will now see where we left last week, which is the fourth section, the fourth verse. And this is the slide which we were seeing. Bhagavad Gita has this beautiful mantra in the second chapter. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The most important word in this mantra is na jayate. Na jayate means what? It means the consciousness in us, the Brahman in our body mind complex, is never born and it will never die. Body is born. That is Vyavaharika Satyam. What about Brahman? Brahman is Paramarthika Satyam. There is a Satta Bheda in this verse. Satta Bheda means what? Like the waker and the dreamer, we must understand there is a higher nature. Compared to the waker, there is a super waker, which we call it as Brahman. Now, this Jiva, who is attached to the body today and the mind today, he understands after this knowledge that I am not the Jiva which is born and dying, but I am the Jiva who is unborn, eternal, changeless, and ancient. I am not killed. I am not destroyed when the body is destroyed. I am not born when the body is born. This is one of the best mantras of Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter, 20th verse. Worth by hearting, worth remembering, worth contemplating, meditating, because the entire truth of our higher nature is hidden in this verse. I take meditation on Sunday, my Mandukya class. So I will be taking a meditation on this verse very soon. I am in the next 2-3 weeks, I'll be taking this verse. So the jiva is never destroyed when the body is destroyed. Can you give me an experience? Can you tell me how will I be? Now the Upanishad or the Bhagavad Gita is telling me this. But what will be my, who am I? This body. Upanishad says you are exactly like you are in your sleep. In the sleep state, I am in the unmanifest condition. Body is not experienced. That condition of my own existence, which is experienced by me, which I understand in the waking state, that condition is the same whether I am with the body or without. So many people ask me how to get rid of fear in life, fear of death. This is the mantra I always quote. If you are able to understand this mantra well, you will be able to get rid of. Why? Because in the waking state, you think about who you are in the sleep state. This thinking in the waking state is the process of getting rid of the fear of death. And this knowledge comes to us from the Veda and the Bhagavad Gita. How it is how it is Paramatma Karyam, that means Jivatma need not do Upasana to become Karana Bhuta Parama. He did not do it because he is already that higher nature. We are not doing Upasana to become Paramatma. We are doing Upasana or meditation to get rid of the notion that I am the body. Try to understand this. All our knowledge, which we are trying to understand in Taittriya Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, should be able to transform my notion about myself and also about the world. For example, just now I told you your real nature is without the body, without the mind, without the universe, exactly as what you see, what you experience in your sleep state. In the sleep state, there is ignorance. If there is ignorance about myself, I call it sleep. If there is knowledge about myself, I call the same thing as Brahman. And then I say, I went back to my nature, my real nature, just to go back and get the experience. So you can never have fear of death, not your own death or the death of anybody else in the world. So here Purva Pakshi, opponent, is asking this question: why are we doing this upasana when we know that I am Paramatma? Jiva Brahma Aikyam is there in Mahavakyam, where it says Jiva is nothing else but Paramatma. Paramatma means Brahman. Brahman without the world is called is with the world is called as Ishvara. Without the world, it is called as Brahman. So is it like the worm becoming a butterfly in time? In due course, it will become. Is it like all of us will become from our nature or body mind identification? No. Only when you know this knowledge through the Veda and you are able to clearly understand that I don't have birth, I don't have death. The day you understand I don't have birth, I don't have death, you are a Mukta Purushaha. Vedanta gives you a complete clarity. The day you say, I am free from this body, Vedantic meditation is to drop the habitual notion that I am the Jivatma, which is a thought in the mind. You see, whenever we say, I am a mother, I am a father, I am a sister, you are going with an assumption, I am the body. For Vyavahara, we have to use that. But to know who I am in my real nature, I have to use the knowledge of Taittiriya Upanishad, which says, or Bhagavad Gita, which says you are Brahman. So in Upasana, transformation is there. In Nididhyasana, what we are trying to do is In Nididhyasnam, we are dropping our notions. Shadbhava Vikar Rahitaha Atma. Okay, so this is one of the objections raised by the Purva Pakshi and answered by Shankaracharya. So whenever we study Bhashyam, we will go through this type of analysis. That is the beauty of studying Bhashyam. Another Purva Pakshi comes back and discusses another point. He says, in Mundakopanishad, there is a mantra which says, probably I'll show you that mantra later, the slide will be there, that like sparks are born out of fire, similarly, jivas are born out of Brahman. So, you must say that Jivatma is born out of Paramatma. Even in this mantra, Yatova Imani Bhutani, the third chapter, in the beginning itself, you said that beings are born, Jiva is born. All Upanishad clearly talk of birth of Jiva. Now here, how does Shankaracharya explain this Purvapakshi? See, Upanishad has got two statements. One is at the Vyavaharika level, you are born. But at Paramarthika level, you are not born. That is the correct interpretation of the Upanishad. Purva Pakshi doesn't understand this two sattas, Paramarthika Satyam and Vyavaharika Satyam. Vyavaharika Satyam means transactional reality, and Paramarthika Satyam means absolute reality. So Shankaracharya says you have an interpretational issue. The Veda is not wrong. Veda is correct. Whenever the Upanishad says Jivanti, it is not applied for jivas. It should be applied. Jivanti, jivaha is always applied for Jivanti means life. It is applied for human beings, not for Panchabhutas. So even in this Najate Mriyate Va Kadachit, this comes actually Bhagavad Gita takes this mantra number 20 of the second chapter is taken from Kathopanishad. Here, Kathopanishad, it says the intelligent Atma is not born. Very clear. Here it is very clear. There it says only he is not born in the Gita. Okay? You can see this. Najayate Mrete Va is below, and the Kathopanishad mantra is in the top. So you can compare. Only a few words are different. Vipaschit is there in the Kathopanishad mantra. Kadachit is there in the Gita mantra. So, but this mantra is very important. Even in Kathopanishad, when Yamadharma Raja tries to teach Nachiketa, the 8-year-old, he gives this lesson that Jiva, whenever you say Jiva, I am a Jiva. I am a human being with a spiritual content. You should know the spiritual content in you is never born. So the question is Jiva born, Jayate va, or not born? Na Jayante va. Brahma Sutra clearly says this in the second chapter. The second chapter, Brahma Sutra, is mainly an analysis chapter where you analyze all the theories. In this, there is one sutra which says, Chara Chara Vipashyastu, this sutra. Here it says very clearly, birth and death of the is only with reference to the body of the beings. It is not, it is applied to the soul. That means it is applied to the jiva, and it refers to the jiva, that consciousness, Brahman principle. When it exists with the help of a body, it is called as the jiva with body and soul. So, aupadika janma asti, vastava janma nasti. This is in Sanskrit. In English, what does it mean? There is only seeming birth. Whenever there is an upadhi means a medium of for transaction. In the waking state, we always are with the medium of body, mind, sense organs. In the sleep state, we don't have a medium, but we exist. That existence without the medium is called as Brahman. The existence with the body mind in the waking state is the transactional gene. Seeming birth is there, seeming death is there. Like what? Veda always give this example of pot and in the pot. Whenever a pot is born by the potter, suppose the potter makes the pot, what does he do? Does he create the space, or the space, in space he creates a pot? Very important example. Think, when a potter makes the pot, does he create the space in the pot, or does the in the space he creates a pot? Answer is very easy. Space is already there. In that space, he's creating a pot. Similarly, in Brahman, in consciousness, in existence, which is pure, without the body and mind, bodies are born. When bodies are born, mind is born. It takes the power of consciousness to exist for a number of years, and then it goes away. Again, another body is born. Very beautiful analysis. These are all very, very beautiful uh, areas where study of Bhashyam clarifies all your doubts of Vedanta. In the third chapter of Mandukya Karika, which I'm doing on Sundays, of course, I'm not doing the third chapter, I'm doing the first chapter. It says Jiva is seemingly born, the body is born. In the sleep state, Jiva is Nirguna Atma. So, if now, for example, I'm talking and you're listening. But we must remember this is only a transactional existence. From Vedantic point of view, it is not permanent. Because my class is not permanent, your class is not permanent. I mean, again, you will be changing. So when the body comes, one appears to enter, like the space or reflection enters the body and mind. You see, many times people ask me, how is this reflected consciousness theory? It is very beautifully explained here. Whenever we say there is a reflection, what it ultimately means is that Jiva is available for transaction because of the appearance of the body. Now, appearance of the body, where does it appear? In Brahman, in consciousness. Okay? This is a very, very subtle point. It will require each one of you to meditate, think about it, contemplate, and then only your intellect will accept this. It is not easy to say, I am consciousness, I am Brahman. It is not easy, but this is the methodology. The Atman presiding in all the bodies has a seeming process of birth and death. And exactly like the pot space, which seems to be born when the pot is born, when the pot is destroyed, the space is merges with the total space. So what happens to the jiva in death? Jiva never has death. But when the body dies, the jiva merges with that higher principle called as Ishvara. which is Brahman. Okay, so that is what is being explained here. Enclosed space has seeming birth and death. Jivatma has an enclosed consciousness which seems to have birth and death and also travel and plural. See, for example, Advaitam, our philosophy of Shankaracharya, he says we believe in Advaita. Advaita means he is referring to consciousness principle, existence principle, in which the world of waking, dream, and sleep is coming. You must understand Advaitam very clearly. If you're clear, you can ask me at the end of the talk in the Q&A. Okay, so this is what is said in the Mandukya third chapter. Ultimately, what are we trying to say? The bottom line is Jiva has a seeming birth, but not factual birth. Jiva seemingly enters a body, like for example, every day in the waking state, suppose you say, I am my original Swarupa is without the body. Suppose you accept it. What the Veda says, you accept. Then what will you say? Every day I am entering the body and every day I am going back to my house, original house, not my house in Singapore or India or America or London. It's not. This is what is called as anupraveda. Jiva is not karya atma. Karya atma means what? He is not produced. Karanam, karyam is always with reference to karma. Jiva is not a karyam, a product of Paramatma. Jiva is Paramatma. That means Jiva is of the nature of consciousness. Paramatma is of the nature of consciousness. Therefore, Tattvamasi is valid. The Mahavakya Tattvamasi is valid. So, one of the questions which we dealt last week was samsara, dukkham and sukham. Does it belong to the jiva or does it belong to the mind? Samsara belongs to the mind, the upadhi. It does not belong to the atma. Okay. Here I have mentioned there are two commentaries on Taittriya Bashyam. One is by Anandagiri. It is a brief commentary. And the second is Achyuta Krishna Tirtha. It is an elaborate commentary and the text is called as Vanama. These are just additional points for you to understand that there are many, many commentaries on Shankaracharya's Bhashya. Okay. Now, Purva Pakshi, I was telling you, this is just a revision where the Purva Pakshi says that the samsara status of Jiva is true because he doesn't understand the higher nature. It is a very powerful argument and it can be understood only when you understand the two sattas. If you don't understand the satta, again ask me the question. Satta means reality. There are two realities. One reality is dreamer. Another reality is waker. And another reality is sleeper. But above all these three realities, all these three we say, I am a dreamer, I am a sleeper, I am a waker. What Upanishad says is all these three are with reference to your body, mediums. Who are you without the body? You are Brahman, you are Paramatma. That Jiva which is linked with the body understands that I am the pure consciousness. What is the pramanam for this? Pramanam means anadigata abhadita vastu bodhakatva pramanam. This is the definition, Sanskrit definition of pramanam. Pramanam means source of knowledge. Any source of knowledge gives should never be, should reveal a new knowledge which cannot be contradicted by any other pramana. For example, eyes. Our eyes, they give knowledge about form and color. Eyes will never contradict ears because ears are another different pramana. Sound. Similarly, Veda is talking to us about our spiritual essence. Nothing in the world can contradict Veda. There may be other people, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya. There are so many philosophers, but nothing, nobody can contradict Veda. Why? Because it is talking about a higher nature. If Shruti says fire is cold, you won't put a finger in the fire because you will reject it. So similarly, Mahavakyam says Jivatma is equal to Paramatma. Paramatma is Ananda Swarupaha. Therefore, Jivatma is Ananda Swarup. That is that is one of the things which the third chapter focuses on. Ananda Swarupa of Jiva. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in the earlier section, in third chapter itself, there was a sixth section where it said that Ananda, this is where the focus in the third chapter is on Ananda aspect of Jiva, where it says everything in the world is coming from Ananda only. We are because of the bliss of Brahman. Okay. What about my experience? I am dukhi, I am very sorrowful and all. That is an adhyasa. Adhyasa means it is a superimposition on the reality, which is Brahman. I am Ananda Swarupa is like saying fire is hot. When is fire hot? Always. Nitya Swarupa of fire is hot. Similarly, Nitya Swarupa of Jiva is Ananda Swarupa. But direct Pratyaksha Pramanam contradicts this Shruti statement. Pratyaksha Anubhava is what? Pratyaksha means what do I experience in life? I experience not Ananda, but I experience Samsara. I experience Dukkham. But what Shankara says is that is not your real nature. So Shankaracharya's commentary here, uh, uh, because the Atma, the experience subject, is not available for objectification, you make a mistake that you are the mind. Vedanta is based on two fundamental principles. What are the two fundamental principles? One is whatever we experience is not me. I experience the body, but I am not the body. I experience the mind is not me. I experience the world, I am not the world. I am not very easy, but body and mind is very, very close. This is what we learn in Drikdrishya Viveka. The experienced attributes always belong to the objects, never to the experiencer subject. Experiencer subject is called as Atma, Chaitanyam. What is the normal conclusion? I experience pain and sorrow. I am sorrowful is the conclusion. That conclusion is called as adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. With reference to Atma, you are superimposing the thought on Atma. So, what does Vedanta say? You are the experiencer consciousness, Atma. You are not the sorrowful Jiva, which has the error in notion. I am not three states, but the three states belong to the mind. This is what is the central essence of Mandukya Upanishad. When we see the seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad, the seventh mantra negates the waking state, negates the dream state, negates the sleep state, and says, you are Atma. And all the three states are Drishyam, all the three states are Adhyas. Samsara belongs to the mind with the vritti, thoughts of sorrow. I am not the mind, it is Abhasa Siddham, not Pratyaksha Siddham. Abhasa Siddham means what? I am the consciousness. The consciousness in this body mind complex is the seer of that thought. This is a very deep science. Veda is a very, very deep science. So, but if you understand this, it's very easy. Okay. Not understanding Vedanta correctly leads to a lot of confusions. Therefore, our efforts when we study Vedanta in different Upanishads, let me try to remove all my doubts. By removing my doubts, I will become more clear, I will become more fit, I'll become an adhikari, a fit candidate for the study of Atma Jnana. Okay, this portion of mine, the slides here is all about revision. The three upasanas which we have discussed before, about 4 seconds before, prana and shariram, jalam and agni, prithvi and akasha, we have studied that. Then the Purva Pakshi said that Jivatma is like the Atma, which is a samsari. If Jivatma is samsari, Atma is also samsari. It is the wrong logic which the Purva Pakshi had, which we discussed. Then we talked about Anupravesha Stuti. Anupravesha means like the Jivatma entering the body, like God enters all the five elements. See, when we experience the five elements, there is a power in them. There is a power which controls the water to be liquid. There is a power which controls the fire to remain as fire. So in Chandogya Upanishad, there is a mantra in the 6th chapter. God enters the five elements. Similarly, the jiva enters this body. Graha pravesha. Like we build a house and we enter the house. Similarly, Paramatma builds a house for us, this house, which we call it as the body. And then who enters? The jiva enters. It is the jiva who gets the knowledge. I am not the resider in this body. I am that original consciousness, which is the essential nature of Paramatma. So, for a jiva, is there any conversion? Purva Pakshi says, jiva cannot be Paramatma. Your aikyam is a false aikyam. Shankaracharya says, jiva has never transformed to become this soul in this body. Jiva's original nature is Mahavakyam, which explains it is Paramatma. If I was Paramatma, Shankaracharya says, the Shruti would have said, you were Paramatma, or it will say, you will be Paramatma in the future. But what does the Shruti says? Tat Tvam Asi. It uses the present tense. You are Paramatma. Shruti, Chandogya Upanishad says, you are Paramatma. You are that consciousness principle. Before the entry of the body, after the entry of the body, and after we depart from the body, we are that Paramatma. Very beautiful analysis of Shankaracharya in this Bhashyam. Okay. When you read the notes, After we go through this, if you read the notes, it's very beautiful. Before entry, Mahakasha, that means the total space. After the entry into the pot, Ghata Akasha, we give two names for one Akasha. For one space, when you have the Upadi or the medium of a pot or an enclosure of a pot, we give it pot space, total space. Similarly, we give Jivatma two names. One is Paramatma. The same Paramatma is actually Jivatma, but then it is misunderstood as Samsari Jiva. Samsara belongs to the body mind complex. Purva Pakshi says, no, 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 I can't accept that the Jiva is Samsari. I only will go with my experience. Sakshi Pratyakshan. Sakshi Pratyakshan. I can see I'm suffering. I know I am a samsari. Before and after the class, I Shruti cannot contradict Pratyaksha Anubhava. That is what Purva Pakshi's claim is. Pratyaksha is much more powerful than the Shruti. That's what Purva Pakshi. Shankara says one pramanam cannot contradict another pramanam. Upanishad says, I am Paramatma, not to make us feel good, but it tells us my real nature. Jivasya samsaritvam drishtam. I can't accept, accept Aikyam. That's what Purvapakshi says. But in these sections, all Shankaracharya tries to say is whatever I've explained to you before, but he has got certain information in some of these bhashyams, which we'll go through. Uh, so this particular section, I experience myself as Jivatma with the attributes of samsara. If that is your argument, then the Shankaracharya says it is not possible because the attribute of a thing are never separate from the substrate. Attributes always belong to the substratum. For example, fire. Its attribute is burning. You cannot have a fire without the burning power. Light's attribute is illumination. So fire and light are the examples to show that the power of a thing never leaves. Similarly, the power of uh, the jiva is pure consciousness. It will never leave that. A jiva can never leave its nature. What is the rule? Okay, here he goes into a little bit of Sanskrit grammar and all that, which I will not touch too much upon, but I'll still explain to you. Guna and Dravyam. Guna means attribute. Dravya means substance. Substance and attribute, they have samavaya sambandha. They can never be separated. I told you about the fire and the fire and the burning power, light and the illuminating power. You cannot separate them. Experience of the attribute comes along with the experience of the substance. If samsara of jiva has to be experienced, jiva should become the object of experience first. Like we experience the fire or the fire's burning. What Shankaracharya says is, I can never objectify myself because I am always the subject. Since subject cannot be objectified, attribute of subject can't be objectified, which is Satchidananda Swarupa. This is one of the very important questions which many seekers ask. In Q&A, many people say, Um, if I am Ananda Swarupa, why don't I experience it? Because experience means you're trying to objectify, but it is your Swarupa, it is your nature. You can only claim it. I am Ananda Swarupa. Uh, I am of the nature of consciousness. I am of the nature of existence. We have seen this in our analysis of Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So Jiva can't be objectified. Jiva's attributes can't be objectified. That means I can never objectify my nature as Atma, Ananda Swarupa. That is what Acharya's explanation to the Purva Pakshi, the debater, who says that I am experiencing sorrow. And you are saying my Swarupam is Ananda. Here Shankaracharya says that we are endowed with this quality of Ananda. Samsara, substance and attribute can't be separated. They always have a samavaya sambandha. They can uh, that see, whenever we talk about relationships, for example, suppose there is an ant in your spectacles, the attribute, this sambandha between the ant and the spectacle, it is not it can be separated. That means you can remove that. But this is not the same case with Atma and Ananda. It is not the same case with the fire and being hot. So there is a relationship difference between Atma and Ananda, which is Swarupa relationship. Attribute, when it is with the subject, it can never be, it can never be separated. Fire can't burn by itself. Heat can't be burned by fire. These are all some logical uh, answers which Shankaracharya gives to the Purva Pakshi. Okay. Uh, then the Purva Pakshi comes back and says another point. What he says is, we experience fear, experience bhayam. This is fundamental experience. Now, bhayam means fear. It is samsara. Now, dukkham, bhayam, anxiety, these are all samsara. But they belong to the mind, not to the. That is what we should understand. Whenever we talk about anything about our experienced object and the experienced experiencer, the mind, body mind complex, they have a relationship. But I am the Atma, you have to go and remove that Atma as a higher nature. Okay, that is what Shankaracharya is trying to explain to the Purva Pakshi. See, the main problem with the Purva Pakshi is they don't know there are two levels of differences between Atma and the body mind complex, which is a very important point in whenever we try to understand our real nature. Our real nature is higher nature, like the dreamer and the waker and the super waker. Super waker is this jnana who knows that I am not the body. If fear of samsaritvam is located in Atma, then what happens? Then it will never go away. But we have seen that the fear dukkham belongs to the mind and not to the Atma, because it goes away after I get the knowledge. That's what I said. The only way you can get rid of fear is Atma Jnana. I am of the nature of pure consciousness. See, these are all very beautiful analysis in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the 13th chapter. Ichha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham. Sangastetana dhritihi etat kshetram samasena savikara mudahritam. Very beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita. What does it say here? It says exactly what Shankaracharya is saying in this month, in this section. All the desires which you have, all the dukkham, the sorrow which you have, the pleasure which you have, the hatred which you have, all that belongs to the kshetra. Kshetra means the field of experience, the medium. Attributes belong to the medium, not to the kshetrajna. Kshetrajna is the observer, sakshi, chaitanya. For those who have done the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, this is a very good point to revise, to know your nature. Remember this particular mantra in the 13th chapter. Whenever you feel sorrow, keep a notebook and write down this mantra. Keep it always with you so that if you forget, you must remember adhyasa. I am now having adhyasa. Therefore, I went through that motion of experience of sorrow. All of us can come out of it. How you can come out? The moment you know I am the Atma, you will be able to withdraw from that identification with the sorrow of the mind. See, this is what happens to all the seekers when they do mananam, when they do contemplation and nididhyasana. This section is very beautiful for those people who are in the spiritual path, who are trying to understand this Atma and trying to get rid of their wrong notion I am the body, I am the mind. This whole section, that is why the Bhagavad Gita is being brought as a comparison. We saw the 20th verse of the second chapter. We saw the seventh verse of the 13th chapter today. Both this, if you are able to understand the link each other, your understanding of your own nature will become much more clear. Okay. Then the final question of the Purva Pakshi. Jiva is not a samsari. Jiva is Karanatma Paramatma. Accept. Jivatma, Paramatma, both are one and the same. Then the Purva Pakshi says, you can't win the debate just because you say and I accept. You are always in a minority. All schools accept Ishvara as the Jagat Karanam, declare Jivatma and Paramatma are different. Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, nobody accepts this, your Aikyam principle of oneness with Paramatma. Only you are, Vedantin is a minority in this entire philosophy of life. Yoga says Ishvara exists, but he is free from kleshas. Klesha means impurities in the mind, asmita, raga, dvesha. Ishvara doesn't have desires like we are affected by our desires. But yoga says this. But Jiva is affected by all this. Nyaya accepts Ishvara. Vaiseshika, another philosopher, he doesn't accept Ishvara. What does he say? Vaiseshika says, Ishvara, okay, I'm going into into the different schools of thought here. Ishvara is Nityaha Sarva Shaktiman, limitless all the time. Jiva is limited. How can there be equation between the two? How can you say Jiva is equal to Paramatma? There is always a Bheda. Bheda difference. I am a C. I am the Dasoham. Dasoham means I am a I pray, I worship the Lord. Soham means I am the Lord. I am equal to the Lord. Soham is minority. Dasoham is majority of the people. The whole world goes and prays this, that. But now you're saying you're equal to Paramatma and all that. Then the truth cannot be determined by whether majority believe it or minority believes. That is what Shankaracharya says. See how debates are held in the olden days, where they open up the entire topic and they discuss threadbare. See, in the olden days, Earth was believed to be stationary and the sun is rotating around the Earth. Okay, this was one of the old, old scientific truths which were held. Majority held that view, geocentric. That means the sun is the center, sun is, Earth is stationary, sun is rotating. But that is not the truth. Without pramana, what you say cannot be accepted by facts, say the Tarkika. Shankara calls them Tarkikas and used and us as Vedikas. See, what Shankaracharya is trying to say is majority, if they hold a particular view, it may be wrong also. Our experience still says that the sun rises and the sun sets, but now everybody believes sun never rises, sun never sets, but the earth is going round the sun. Shankara, so when we use tarka, for example, when we use logic as a secondary, then it is called as Vedic. Vedika people use Veda as the truth. Mukhya. Mukhya Pramanam is Veda. Whereas for all other schools of philosophers, logic is first, Pradhanam, and Veda is secondary. So this is the problem Shankaracharya tries to explain to the Purvapakshi so that he comes back and says, yes, even though Advaitam is minority, we accept. Vedanta, Shankaracharya quotes this Kathopanishad, where it says that very clearly, through argumentation, you can never win debates. You can never say through argument, you can never come to reach your Atma. Because this is not an object of experience. It is an object for knowledge, understanding. So through perceptions, if you are trying to debate, it's okay. But this is not a perceptual reality. It is through the jnanam, through the pramanam of the Veda, which says that I am the pure consciousness. If you use the Veda as a pramanam, then you will have no problems understanding the truth. Okay, so this is how Shankaracharya explains in the third chapter of Mandukya Upanishad. There is a very beautiful section. It is called as Advaita Prakarana. Brahma Sutra, the second chapter, second section, also talks about all these different philosophers. Okay, Shankaracharya quotes this mantra from the fourth chapter of Mandukya Upanishad. See, these are all mantras quoted by Shankaracharya. I have just inserted the mantras, trying to take out from the different Upanishad and insert it. So, in this mantra, it is called as Ajati Vada. You see, this is how the Bhashyam goes. See, from one topic you analyze, Shankaracharya takes the reference of other Upanishads just to make the point much more clearer to the opponent. So he uses this mantra where he says in Mandukya Upanishad there is a mantra which talks about that the world is never created, but it is only a projection of Ishvara. Okay, so he quotes that mantra here. Therefore, he says all your other philosophies, it's all Brantaha. Brantaha means it is your own imagination. You are not using Veda as a Praman. We establish in the Brahma Sutra, there is a Samanvaya Adhyaya. There is there is a section. We establish Advaitam as the ultimate reality. The second chapter of the Brahma Sutra is called as Avirodha Adhyaya. Vedic teaching does not contradict other pramanas. Our eyes, our ears, it doesn't contradict. It only says that the eyes depend on this pure consciousness. That is how Veda reveals the truth. Shruti is a very, very important aspect of understanding the reality. So, the liberated nature of Atma is now established. Paramatma Siddham Asamsari. Paramatma is not samsari, he is asamsari. Jiva samsari is Anubhava Siddham. Anubhava Siddham means I experience samsara, but it is not a fact. Okay. Anyway, I have talked on this. This is how Shankaracharya keeps repeating the same message to the Purvapakshi that your logic is wrong. After Mahavakyam, only Ekatma exists. What do you want Atma? Jivama, Paramatma is Ekatma. Before the teaching, before the knowledge of Atma, I was a samsari. After the teaching, I say I am not a samsari, but this is the Purvapakshi who says Ishvara is a samsari. See how illogical he is. Suppose you say Ishvara is also a samsari, then the Shankaracharya is asking, Shastram, why do you study Shastram? Anarthakyam, it is futile. Nishprayojanam. You don't study, come to Shastra, you don't come to the scriptures to say that Lord God is also samsari like Jiva. Is there any use in that? No use. There is no use to study. So he tells the Purvapakshi, if you go in this wrong logic that Lord also is God, then Jivas are samsari is siddham. Okay, then the question is, how do you know this ekatvam? Ekatvam means, how do you know that Jivatma and Paramatma are one Atma? That is the Mahavakya. In Bhriguvali, the same mantra which we saw in the second chapter, 8th section, is quoted again in the 5th section of the third chapter. Okay. Okay. So the fourth section, the summary of fourth section is that karya prapancha. That means a product which is called as the world alone has samsara. Atma, the karanam, has no samsara. The adjective Jiva and Parama refers to only one Atma. Therefore, I have learned from the Upanishad that I am a samsari. A samsari means I don't have samsaritvam as Atma. Then I can say this Kaivalya Upanishad mantra is valid. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishthitam, mai sarvam layam yati. In this Atma alone, this whole world, body, mind complex is rising, existing, and resolved. This is the ultimate final realization of a seeker. Ultimately, when what did I learn from Taittiriya Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, any Upanishad you study, Kaivalya Upanishad? What do you ultimately study? If you want to say it in one sentence, you should be able to say that I am Atma. There is only one Atma in which this whole Jiva Jagat Ishvara rises, it exists and it resolves. So, uh, the next topic is what is the Jnana Phalam? Jnana Phalam is taken up in the next topic. Before that, there is some revision notes here in my slides. Okay, all this we have done. The fifth section is this portion where the Mahavakyam is repeated. This is the Mahavakyam. I just told you we finished the fourth section. This fifth section is the Mahavakyam portion. This uh, it is what it says. Yes, just to revise what that Mahavakyam says. It is the same Ekatma in a human being and in the sun, in the Jivatma and Paramatma. The sun is the Surya Bhagavan is taken as Paramatma. Between both of them, there is only one. If you know this, then what will you get as a phalam? That is what is being discussed. Ani claims, I alone am everything in creation. Triputi, the subject-object link connecting the world with this mind and body, is a temporary incidental experience which I have. Only a temporary. Okay. Wise person who knows this Mahavakyam crosses the five koshas. Like was said in the second chapter, again the same truth is being explained in the final two mantras of the third chapter. The fifth mantra and the sixth mantra. The sixth mantra elaborate more on what happens to a jnani. He is jumping with joy. That will be said in the sixth mantra. Here it says that we talked about the five koshas. The five, how do I understand all this? The five koshas are vyavaharika satyam. They are not the real nature. I experience that. Why do I experience this? Law of karma. That's all. There is only one statement which will explain all your experiences in life. There is some law of karma which explains the Vyavarika Satya. I drop this abhimana of ahamkara and mamakara, which is the Vyavaharika Satyam. Without this ahamkara, mamakara, I am pure. So at the end of the Anandamaya Kosha, when you cross the five koshas, if you have a question, what is there after the five koshas? Then you should say Atma is there. Wise person who abides in Atma, dropping the Ahamkara and Mamakara, he is the one who attains Jivan Mukti. Etat samagum asti. He moves around the world singing the glory of Atma. What is the glory of Atma? It is everything. I am everything is the ultimate knowledge of a jnani. Crossing over Anandamaya Kosha, until you cross over, it is Atma. But then after crossing over, it is as kosha. That means you cross over the five koshas and realize your pure nature, which is without any impurities. In this Taittriya Upanishad, Shankaracharya makes these five points to remember. Anatmatva Nishchayam. That means there is Atma and there is Anatma. That is one fact which you must recognize. Koshascha Nishchayam. Anatma, consisting of the five personalities, is a kosha. And that is the second fact. Kosha means covering. Third fact we should remember is this five kosha is karyam. Karyam means it is a product. Okay. Then the fourth fact you should remember is it is nama and rupa. It is not the actual substratum. What is that? What is the substratum? Brahman. That Brahman is Nityam. That is the last point you should remember. After crossing the five koshas, Upasankramya, done this in the second chapter. Upasankramya means merger of the Jiva with Paramatma. That is the ultimate Mahavakya section. Once you have done this, you are singing the song of a realized master. Like in Gita, Yasmatmatir eva syat, Atmatascha manavaha, Atmanyeva cha santushtaha, Tasya karyam na vidyate. The one who rejoices in the self, he's satisfied because of the self alone. He's contented because of the self. He has no more desire because the nature is I am triptaha. I am fulfilled person. I am ananda swarupaha. There is nothing more to be done by me. This is the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about how a jnani, after he gets this knowledge, how does he live in this world? Shankaracharya gives a very big introduction to this portion because we are coming from Upasana to Jnana portion. Okay, our Bhashyam continues. See, our Bhashyam is a long, see, the mantra in the Upanishad is only six mantras. If I give you the meaning of the six mantra and explain to you, it is over. That can be done in about two talks. But when we do the Bhashyam, we go through so much of intense analysis. See, these type of mantras relating the Bhagavad Gita with the Taittriya Upanishad or Mandukya Upanishad with Taittriya Upanishad, we never do if we don't do Bhashya. Okay, now Shankaracharya is explaining the fifth verse, and here goes back to the original quotation of the second chapter, which says the meaning of Satyam Jnana Anantam is the ultimate essence of all the Upanishad. The Upanishad does not give us the benefit of knowing this in the second chapter, but the benefit is said in the third chapter. That is what he's saying. The phalam, which talks about the phalam of knowing this Satyam Jnanam Anantam as my real nature. How does the jnani, after getting this knowledge, how does he enjoy? What does he do? What is his mindset? This is now being explained in the third chapter. That is what Shankaracharya is saying in this section. There is a connection between the second chapter and the third chapter. And this is the connection. Connection is the phalam for knowing Satyam Jnanam Anantam is mentioned in the third chapter. Now, this aspect of the phalam, you should understand from the jnani's angle. If you try to from a ajnani angle, then it will not fit. So try to understand that a jnani who has understood Sarvagatam Brahma He understands the Purusha. Like in Purusha, we have this mantra which says that that Purusha, that Brahman, he is with all the eyes, all the legs, and he pervades the entire universe. And he extends 10 inches beyond. Sabhumin Vishwato Vritva. The 10 inches, that means that pure consciousness is only appearing as this word. Brahman, one can enjoy the Ananda Swarupa, but not as a Jeev. Jnani enjoys all the pleasures simultaneously as Brahman. How phalam comes, what is the process, what are the desires, that is what is being going to be discussed now. What are the objects of desires? How can Jnani enjoy all these desires simultaneously? That is the section which we are entering now. Um, okay, now there is I mean, the story portion we already seen. The Varuna and Bhrigu and all that we have already seen in chapter 3. Uh, Brahma Vidya, second chapter of Sadhyam. What is the end to be seen by the study of nature? The third chapter focuses on the discipline to follow the sadhanam called as upasana. The upasana meditation is a means to ultimately understand our nature as pure consciousness. Shravanam and Mananam is sakshat sadhanam, means a direct means, whereas upasana is parampara sadhana. Parampara sadhana means it is an indirect means. And these are the upasanas which we studied. This is the revision portion. Um, the phalam, the fruit of knowledge, you can take it for worldly prosperity and individual fitness. The phalam for this knowledge is, you can say, I will get all my desires fulfilled, uh, and also for individual fitness. Individual fitness means it is for better organs of the body and so on. Sarvan kaman ashnute. To the Brahmana who knows the self, the Veda uh, is like, it is for example, suppose you are in uh, you are you're searching for water and the whole place is flooded. Now you can get little water from a bore well. Upasana is, but ultimately moksha phalam is like the ocean of fulfillment. All desires are fulfilled once you come to know Atma, because Atma is the basis, is the substrate. Jnani abides in his Swarupam. What is his Swarupam? We have seen his Swarupam. Atma Swarupam is Adrishye, Anakriye, Anilayane, Abhayam Pratishtham, Bindate. We have seen in the second chapter. So when a Jnani, he remembers his Swarupam all the time, he abides in it. When he abides in that Swarupam, there is no question of any desire arising. Desires arise only if you are a ajnan. Purva Pakshi says you can, see, this is the Dvaita philosophy. You can enjoy moksha only in Vaikuntha when you are with Bhagavan. And how do you say that Advaitam can give you so much of pleasure? Okay. Now Shankaracharya, he gives this paragraph about okay, I'll just see. Here he only says that all this I have already explained. The desires, regarding desires, the means of attaining desires are all within the mithya world. That means all desires is in relation whenever the body is available, mind is available, world is. But what is body, mind, and world? When you know the what is the body, mind, and world, it is mithya. It is an appearance. And in the Atma, there is no difference between the desired object, the desirer, and the instrument. So objects of desire does not exist for the jnani. That is what he is trying to say ultimately as the essence in this particular portion of the commentary. Because of the non-duality in jnana. Non-duality means what? There is no difference between the desirer, that means the ahamkara, and the object of desire, which is kama and all and those. So he's Shankaracharya is trying to explain in this portion a jnani remains in the society without any without any without any uh, afflictions of the mind. Very see if you understand, this is the ultimate phalam. This is the ultimate benefit of Vedantic study. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a mantra which says Atmanam chet vijaniya. That means if I know that I am the Atma, then for that jnani, desiring what and for whose sake will he suffer in the waking state? Because you see, from the jnani's aspect, that's what I said. This is only when you try to understand the jnani's mindset. Jnani's mindset is I am pure Atma in which the whole universe itself is coming and going. All pleasures, sarvan kaman, are dropped away. Moment you become Brahman, the duality is dissolved. Duality and Tripurti, these are interconnected. That is why we say our philosophy is Advaita philosophy, which is the final truth. In Advaitam, there is no Dvaitam. There is no, in Advaitam, in Brahman. Ultimately, how do we say Advaitam is the truth? Because we say that the world is Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. And Jiva is nothing but that pure Brahma. Okay. So for a jnani, he has no guilt, he has no hurt. As a bhokta, I have hurt. Hurt means I didn't do this, somebody did this to me. As a guilt means I did this wrong. Something wrong I did, it's a guilt in a person. Both this guilt and hurt will never be there because he has dropped that identification with the mind. See, again and again, it tells us these are all this section tells us how I can remain free as Atma and drop all my complexes. Moksha is nothing but freedom from guilt and hurt. Jnani Purva Pakshi is saying, if he is, how can this be possible? If he enjoys Jivatma, he can only enjoy in the field of Dvaitam. We can never exhaust all the pleasures in the world. How do you say that jnani can enjoy everything in the world? He is in he can he is the holder of all the desires. In the How do you say that? That's what the Purva Pakshi is asking. The Paramat, again the same question, the higher nature. In Dvaitam field, there is no division. Therefore, there is no enjoyment. No difference between subject and object because they have both resolved into Atma. That is what Shankaracharya is trying to explain to the Purva. See, this is the methodology of learning. By using the Purva Shankaracharya teaches us how I should also think, and my knowledge about Atma becomes more and more clear. Human beings are limited in nature. We can only do one thing consciously. We can't to enjoy. You see, again, this is all in the field of Dvaitam. But in Advaitam, there is no division. Because there is no division, there is no enjoyment. Therefore, Purva Pakshi keeps on and says that Dvaitam gives us enjoyment, but your Advaitam, how does it give? Advaitam gives us enjoyment only because my Swarupa. In my Swarupam, Triputi is not required. For Vishaya Ananda, Triputi is required. See, this is where the higher level, lower level. The lower level is the transactional field. In the transactional field, when I look for Ananda, then in happiness in the world, I have to use needs of the world. Okay. So Jnani understands I am the Adhishthanam in whom all pleasures of the world are located. This ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita has this mantra, which is the fourth and fifth mantra, which explains the higher nature and the lower nature. I will explain this to you next week. We'll start from this verse, this chart, 1609. We will start on this page, and we'll try to see how we can understand the last section of the 10th section of the third chapter. So I will stop here and we'll continue next week. We'll start with this Bhagavad Gita verse, chapter 9, very, very important verse. I'll explain to you it is important next week. Shankaracharya quotes about 20 times this verse in Mandukya. In every chapter, he quotes this verse. Maya tatamidam sarv jagadapektamurtinaha mastani sarva bhutani chaham teshu vastitaha. Next week, in the beginning of next week, in the next class, I will explain this very important mantra. It is one of the Mahavakyams of the Bhagavad Gita. Very important. Like the 20th verse I told you of the second chapter, the 7th verse of the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th and the 5th verse of the 9th chapter. Okay. Om Purnamad Purnamidam Purnahat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let's see the chat box. I don't see any questions there. In case you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. So Shanmugam is unmuting everybody. If you have any questions, you can ask directly because there is nothing in the chat box. Yeah, anybody has anything to say in today's talk? Do you have any questions, any difficulties in today's talk? It was a very, very nice talk today because it explained how nature. I gave you the full summary in the beginning of the third chapter. Right in the beginning, I gave you the summary, and then I told you this. There are these sections, and in the 10th section, there are six mantras and so on. Um, we'll probably have maybe 2, 3 sessions of Taittiriya Upanishad, and after this, I'm planning to take Upanishad. Yeah, Manikandan, you have a question?
Secretary, thank you very much. I don't have a question, but I just want to have a comment. Thank you very much for today's session. Uh, the last portion is very, very, interesting for me because, as you mentioned, once we say during the Nidhyasan time, when we drop all our koshas and claim that I am Brahman, but since we are used to the Vishayananda, we
Yes,
always have enjoyment using the Triputi. So
correct.
I always struggle, how this enjoyment can happen, like how we can experience this bliss is
Yes,
always confusing. But I think today's explanation uh, gives a hint. Like as you mentioned, there is no object and there is no desirer. So
yes,
we need to. I mean, the desire has to disappear. Then only this bliss
correct.
can be.
You got the essence of today's talk. Very happy, Manikandan. You got the essence of today's talk. In the core state, there is no Tripodi. So, in your meditation, in your contemplation, in your nididhyasnam, when you contemplate about your nature, don't try to bring anything in your mind because Tripudi is absent. You see, there is a very beautiful word which Shankaracharya uses in Mandukya. Uh, he uses two words. One word he uses is adhyasa me. That means I with adhyasa. Adhyasa me. The second is anadhyasa me. That means without adhyasa me. Whenever you are trying to understand your nature, always try to ask your question right now. Is it adhyasa me which I was going, or is it non-adhyasa me? That means there's no adhyasa. Whenever you are with yourself, it is called as non-adhyasa. That means you're not superimposing anything in the world, which is exactly what Manikandan is saying now. Whenever I am trying to superimpose, I want to have happiness. See, these are all the facts which we get from Taittiriya. Taittiriya Upanishad say there is no happiness. Real happiness doesn't exist in the world because it is always mixed with pain. It's one of the greatest truths which you need to contemplate. See, you will not get the essence till you contemplate. And then it becomes a truth for you. So, I was talking about Mandukya. So, whenever you are trying to analyze your own nature, you should say, non-adhyasa me is the sakshi, is the atma, is the ultimate truth. I have to hold on to that non-adhyasa me because that is what is the ultimate journey of mind in this body. In this world, I have been born. I have got this knowledge. This is a spiritual knowledge. It is nothing to do with the world. It is to know my real nature as art. Through some blessings of the previous janmas, I have got into this Veda study. I am going back to my original nature. In the original nature, there is no tripoti. There is no seer seen difference. That is why this philosophy is called as Advaita. Advaita means there is no Dvaita. Dvaita means body, mind, and the world. That is what is called as Dvaita, duality. Non-duality means Advaita. So ultimately, you have to come to this Advaitam as the ultimate, is the real nature of mind. Only in your intellect. you drop this in your mind only. In your mind, in your intellect, you drop your body, mind, and the universe, and that is which is called as adhyasa. And you hold on to that pure nature. That is the ultimate Swarupa Anand. This is immense pleasure. This pleasure cannot be defined. I can only say it exists. And it can be realized by a person who understands the Veda and holds on to that pure nature as my ultimate nature. And if you hold on to that, so many benefits will come to you. You will understand the Mandukya very clearly. As you study Mandukya Upanishad, you will see that this truth becomes more and more real for me. Non-adhyasa me, the Atma me. And good, Manikandan.
Thank you. Thank
Shanta has
you.
a question. Shanta, go ahead.
Yes, before I try to be a Purva Pakshi of your lecture,
Okay.
I want to accept that coming to Vedanta and Upanishad and understanding this, the concept of who you are, as in you're Brahman or you're not the body, mind, and soul, solves a lot of problems and gets a lot of you're out of this dukkham and hurt and all these things, which already we are seeing the benefits of it. Most of us, I'm sure, who are in this course, um, because we know that this is not real. Okay, but now trying to be the Purva Pakshi of your lecture. Now, for a person who does not believe and does not accept Advaitam, um, he will say that I'm enjoying Dvaitam because I have got a mixture of good and bad, which gives me to appreciate the good. So when I experience Sukham, I can actually feel the joy of Sukham because I know what is Dukham is. Okay. And so why should I come to this nitya Sukham, which will not make me appreciate what is that? And so why should, and moreover, this Dvaitam, Advaitam is a very difficult concept. And I have to go through all this meditation, puring of the mind. And I don't need to do all that. I'm already enjoying my Dvaitam nature. So how would you explain that? Why are we actually eventually reaching this point, like some of us have reached, to come through this meditation, japa, and all these steps which we have come here to learn the Upanishad? So
Okay. Good. Good
why would
question,
you, how would you
Shanta.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, one thing we must understand is this knowledge is not meant for all. It is not meant for all people who are already enjoying the world and they think that I am enjoying life. This
Mm,
knowledge is not meant for them. So don't try to go and teach some Advaitam and things like that because, like I said during the talk, it's a minority. We are a minority. The majority feel the world is real, and in there is a mantra that says pariksha lokan karmichitan. That means you go through the life. If you feel that life is full of joy and I am okay to go through this life, you will be born again in this world and cycle will continue. So there are many people, majority of us, who feel that okay, there is death, there is some sorrow in life, but also there is some sukham in this life, and that is how 99.9% of the people they go through the life.
mm,
Don't I also become them and go through that? This Upanishadic study is not meant for them. For who is this Upanishadic study? Why would you, your second question of why should I come to this?
mm,
Only if you have if you have felt that I'm missing something. I'm not fulfilled in life.
mm,
There is something called as fulfillment in life. which is different than being contented with what you have in your normal day-to-day life. Contentment is possible. You will find many people are contented with what they have and they go through samsara,
Hmm.
but they don't have fulfillment.
Hmm.
Fulfillment will only come when you come to Atmanya. I have got something which
Yeah, that feeling
I,
of missing, that is what is my question.
sorry,
Even a rich person with all the wealth,
yeah,
he misses something,
that
right?
is what is
And
called
then
as that as the desire to know something different than his life, whatever he has gone through in life. See, many people in today's modern world, if you have $1 million, if you have $2 million, if you have $5 million in your bank account, you feel as if you have got everything in life.
Hmm.
You feel. You ask people, I'm sure there are people in this group also who may have money, but am I, is this the only thing which is, suppose, okay, I have this in my bank account. Is this the only thing which I have to now? Can I retire from life? Can I just say, okay, I will do nothing? It's not possible. Nobody can say, I will do nothing in this world,
Hmm.
even if he or she has so much money in the bank, because your nature will not allow you. Your
Hmm.
nature is what? Rajas. You have to be active. Now, I come back to the same question. Why would I come? Why do I need Vedanta? This is only possible for people who have understood there is something missing in this whole life of mine. I have got I got a good marriage. I've got very good kids. I've got money in the bank. I've got everything. But can I get rid of fear of death? Can I get rid of fear of old age, disease? Can I get rid of that? How do I get rid of it? Is there any way? Nobody in the world will tell me how to get rid of it. Come to Vedanta, you can attend some sessions like this. You know what it is. So the answers of a jnani will give you, when it will give you what you have missed in life. You
Hmm.
see, people may not, when you come to Vedanta, you realize what you have missed in life. Oh, this Atman Jnana was always available, but how come I never thought about this for 30 years, 40 years?
Hmm.
I mean, I can go on and on, but I think I will
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
here.
yeah. So yes, I get the point, because I mean, it's clear that people are carved out for different things, and so they have to go through all this journey to come to
Yes.
this,
See,
you know,
their prarabdha is they have to just go through the motion of life.
life. Yeah.
It is your prarabdha which has brought you to this knowledge. Very important point. You should never be debating on this point. Why are you attending Vedanta sessions? Other people are enjoying life. They are going to go shopping malls and their prarabdha. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other question? Okay. If there are no other questions, we'll close today and then we'll continue next week. And like I said, maybe another 3, 4 sessions perhaps. And uh, then we'll start looking at Kathopanishad, and that will be the next text we'll be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
Thank you.
thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pranams. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Namaste,
Namaste.
Thank you.
namaste, sir. Namaste,
Namaste.
sir.
Thank you.
हरि ओम शंकर जी शेखर जी
Thank you. भाऊ भाई कैसे हो?
ठीक है
ठीक है. Very good.
हम्म